Hey guys, Nate here, back with another episode of Backstage with Nate. In this episode, I'm gonna give you my top 10 tips for having a fantastic headshot session. Stay tuned. As an actor, your headshots are one of the most important tools you're gonna have in your marketing toolkit. So you wanna make sure that your headshots not only make you look good, but they tell the story that you wanna tell the casting team when you're not in the room. So here are my top 10 tips for making sure that your headshots turn out exactly the way you want. Tip number 1, find a real headshot photographer. A friend with a fancy camera is not a headshot photographer. Actually, a lot of portrait photographers aren't actually headshot photographers. You want to find someone who understands the ins and outs of the industry and understands how to make you look exactly the way you want so that the story you want to tell casting is shown in your photos. So do your research and make sure that you find a real headshot photographer. Tip number 2. Make the investment. Don't just go for the cheapest photographer you can find. Find a photographer that's really going to give you the quality headshots you want. Remember, you're a professional performer. You want headshots that show that you are a professional performer, and that's going to require you to make an investment. Figure out what your budget is, but if you find a photographer that's slightly out of your budget, don't be afraid to check into that photographer. If you spend that little extra, you're gonna get the photos you want rather than getting just kind of so-so photos from a budget photographer. Remember, this is not just an investment in headshots. This is an investment in your successful career as a performer. Number 3, find the right photographer for you. Just because a friend had an amazing session with a photographer doesn't mean that they're going to be the right photographer for you. Still do your research. Look around their site and in their galleries and see if you like their work. If you think that this photographer is going to be able to capture your personality in the way you want it shown, then reach out and contact them, which brings me to tip number 4. Contact your photographer and ask them any questions you might have about how their session works. Ask them about their pricing, any packages they may have, and how they typically run a session. Photographers are artists just like you, and they always love telling people about their process. Some will respond in a very casual, laid-back style, while others will be a little more business-like and structured. Depending on how they respond, that might influence your decision if that photographer is right for you. Once you have your photographer and your session booked, we get to tip number 5, which is plan out your session. If you're going to be having a stylist or a makeup artist join you as part of your team on your headshot day, you're going to want to make sure that the timeline works for everyone. So make sure that everyone is on board. If you need to schedule extra time at the beginning of your shoot for your stylist to do their work at the studio rather than at your place, make sure that you work that out with your photographer. Make sure that everyone's on board and everyone knows what the timeline for the day is so that you don't run into any headaches the day of your shoot. There are tons of little crazy details to work out when planning your session, which takes me to tip number 6. When planning your clothes for your shoot, make sure that you plan extra outfits so that your photographer has options to choose from. They're gonna know what backgrounds they have and what lighting setups they can do to make sure that certain outfits look really good on camera. Remember, they're an artist just like you are, and you wanna give them plenty of options so that they can work their magic. When choosing your outfits, don't try to guess what casting is going to want to see you as. Make sure that you choose clothes that you're comfortable in. If you want to hint at a type in your photos, that's fine, but make sure that they're clothes that you actually wear. Don't go out and buy special clothes for your headshot sessions unless they're clothes that you actually would want to have in your closet. Make sure that the clothes that you choose showcase your personality, because at the end of the day, that's what you want to show the casting team. You want to show them who you are, not who you want them to think you are. Make sure that your photos showcase who you are on your best day. All right, so tip number 7 is when the day of your session actually arrives. Just relax and be yourself. Your photographer is going to be putting you into weird positions or asking you to make slight adjustments, which can be a little nerve-wracking. Just take deep breaths, relax, have water nearby, make sure that you have anything that you need so that you don't get frazzled the day of your session. The more relaxed and comfortable you are during your session, the better your photos are going to look. Tip number 8, getting feedback on your photos. Remember, these aren't glamour shots. These aren't always photos that are intended to make us look extremely sexy or handsome or beautiful. These are photos that represent who we are on our best day. So you want to make sure that your photos actually look like you. Sometimes we get a little bit of a skewed perspective of what we want our headshots to look like. So get feedback from your photographer and get feedback from your friends or other industry professionals who you trust. Make sure that at the end of the day, whichever photos you choose, they actually look like what you're going to look like when you walk in the audition room. Number 9 is about over editing your photos. Some photographers like to go a little Photoshop crazy and work their magic and make sure that you look absolutely blemish free. But I always like to remind people that there are going to be certain things on your face that you're going to have when you walk in the audition room. For example, let's say you have a beauty mark on your face. If your photographer Photoshops that out and then you have it when you walk in the room, the casting team is going to get a little confused. So don't let them over edit your photos. Just keep this rule in mind. Make sure that your photos look like you on your best day. If it's not something that you have every day, say maybe a nick from shaving or some slight acne or some flyaway hairs, edit those things out. But if it's something that you have every day, like a scar or a beauty mark, you're gonna wanna have those in your photos because that's gonna show who you really are. And remember, that's what these photos are for. They're showcasing your real personality and who you are the minute you step in the audition room. Finally, tip number 10, be professional in how you use your photos. Once you get your photos, you're gonna wanna be sharing them all over the place. You're gonna be posting them on websites and on social media, and that's great. But remember to credit your photographer. Nothing shows your professionalism in regard to your headshots more than when you give that byline to your photographer in the caption on either social media or on your website. Some photographers are gonna have specific ways that they're gonna ask you to credit them, and some won't. Regardless if they ask for it or not, take that time, give them that credit. It's gonna show that you not only respect their work as an artist, but it's gonna show how you're going to be respectful of other artists in this industry. Your photographer is part of your team. They worked hard to make sure that you look exactly the way you wanted to in your photos. So give them that credit. They'll appreciate it. Casting will appreciate it. It's those little things that make you shine and show your true professionalism as a performer. That's it. Those are my top 10 tips for an awesome headshot session. I hope you found the information useful. If you liked the video, please give it the thumbs up. The more thumbs in the air, the more episodes will be coming your way. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, go click that red button so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. If you haven't yet followed us on social media, all the links for doing so are included in the description below. If you'd like to schedule a lesson with me, or maybe you're a fellow teacher interested in a masterclass, you can find out more information about scheduling those on my website. The link is also included in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you here next time.